To the NBA now, where the Lakers host the Timberwolves tonight in a star-studded matchup featuring Anthony Edwards, LeBron James, and Luka Doncic. It will be Luka's first matchup against the T-Wolves since injuring his calf against them on Christmas Day. Doncic averaging 32 points against the Wolves in the conference finals, his most in a postseason series last year. His new team has been rolling. The Lakers 12-3 in their last 15 games, tied with the Cavs for the best record in the NBA in that span, while also allowing 107 points per game, the second fewest in the league. On the other side, the Timberwolves are coming off a 25-point comeback win over OKC. Anthony Edwards has set a double-double in back-to-back games. Another win tonight would tie the longest streak of his career. We now welcome in senior NBA writer Brian Windhorst. Brian, the Lakers facing a big litmus test over the next 3 days. They get the Timberwolves, they get the Clippers. In your opinion, what's on the line in this stretch?
I'm just so fascinated to see whether the Lakers can keep up this incredible defense. I know there's so much attention being put on number 77 when he's got the ball, and that's certainly one of the big things going on in the NBA. But the move that's happening in this league, as you mentioned, how good their defense has been for 6 weeks now. 6 weeks, that's significant. Can they keep that up? And what J.J. Redick is doing that's so interesting, obviously they don't have great interior size, but they have great perimeter size. And they've got Jared Vanderbilt back. They made the trade for Dorian Finney-Smith, and frankly, LeBron James is playing great, energetic basketball. They have been allowing a lot of three-point shots, third most in this stretch, and they've been getting away with it. And so JJ is basically doing this gamble. It's working. Will it work against a terrific team like the Timberwolves, who've had a couple of days to prepare for this game and game plan? They are missing some firepower. Julius Randle is out. Rudy Gobert is going to be out. But still a great test to see if the Lakers can keep this up.
Yeah, looking forward to watching that one. Okay, Brian, you hang tight because we got to get to the hottest team in the league right now, the Pistons. Notching their 8th win in a row with a dominant second-half performance against the Celtics, who were without Jaylen Brown due to a thigh contusion. Detroit riding their longest win streak since the 07-08 season. They now own the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference and are only a game behind the Pacers for 4th. The Pistons getting their 33rd win of the season last night. That is already more than the last 2 seasons combined, Brian. Their current win percentage of nearly 56% is on pace to be their highest in over 15 seasons. That is a far cry from the 19% the last 2 seasons. So, Brian, what's fueling this turnaround that Pistons fans have been long waiting for?
Oh, my gosh, so long. So, look, Jay, you know that there are some Hall of Fame guards that have their numbers in the rafters in Detroit. Isaiah Thomas, Joe Dumars, Chauncey Billups very soon. Cade Cunningham is having a season that is comparable with any or even better statistically than any guard in Pistons history, and he is driving this. He is an all-star. He is on his way to potentially being an all-NBA player. He's potentially on the verge of making them a bona fide playoff team and with a chance to do some damage. I also want to point out Malik Beasley, their three-point sniper, who has 25 games this year of 5 three-pointers or more, is looking like one of the most impactful signings of the whole year. And the two of them, one stretching the floor for the other, one dominating, the other hitting shots, has fueled this incredible turnaround in Detroit.
Dynamic duo for sure. Brian Windhorst, we appreciate you. Thank you, bro. Golden State will try to keep its 4-game win streak alive when the Warriors take on Orlando tonight. This Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler team-up has been pretty good. Golden State, since Jimmy Buckets came over from Miami, the Warriors looking to make that 7-1 tonight. Senior NBA writer Brian Windhorst is back with us. All right, to talk Golden State. Warriors got some pep in their step since Jimmy Buckets came over, Brian. What do you make of the direction Golden State's heading in?
Well, they've got great match with Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry. He's really able to balance out what they're doing offensively. He brings a guy that brings a lot of versatility defensively. And Jay, the thing that's so interesting about them is they've got a favorable schedule. They've got the second easiest schedule left from the Western Conference team, so they're just a game out of 6th place. And they're playing the Magic tonight to begin an Eastern road trip, but the Magic have really been struggling, coming off a 40-point loss the other night to the Cavs. The other thing they've got is Jonathan Kuminga, one of the most talented players on the team, is coming back soon from an ankle injury, so they're going to get that influx at some point. And Steve Kerr has made it clear. Their goal is to get in the top 6. You get in the top 6, there's a bunch of different matchups. They like their chances against some of them. They avoid the play-in. It's considered a success. They're on the cusp of getting out of that zone already, just 7 games into the Butler era.
Kuminga has missed the last 24 games with that ankle injury, but Jimmy Butler says, you know, he thinks he's going to fit in. They're going to fit in pretty well together when he gets.
This win, man, you were there last night. How do you think Luka handled it?
Reasonably well. The scene before the game when he came out, everybody knew he was coming. They put on the Slovenian music, which is what they do when he warms up. They started in Dallas. Nico Harrison sitting there in an electric blue suit, both of them a few feet apart from each other, neither of them making eye contact. You don't normally see that before a game in February. There was a lot of action. For the game itself, the Mavericks made a decision, Greeny. They were not letting Luka go off in this game with scoring. They double-teamed him aggressively right from the start. That was fine. Luka started passing the ball. He had 12 assists. He didn't shoot the ball really well, but he was able to save LeBron's energy for the fourth quarter. LeBron had a big fourth quarter. They took advantage of the Mavericks' weak interior and ended up winning this game. It was really not in a much more than an average game. I look forward in April when he goes back to Dallas, when he's feeling his legs up under him a little bit more, when Dallas is healthier. We see a more representative game between these two teams.
Jay, Will, you and I have a lot of things in common, and one of them is we both love the petty. I live for the petty. And I love the Mavericks weren't going to let Luka go off. He's looking over at the bench. I respect to Nico Harrison for sitting right out there and basically saying, hey, if you have something to say, I'm sitting right here and say it to me. The game was what it was. The scene was pretty spectacular, Jay, Will.
Well, Greeny, Luka had something to say. I mean, that was 19, 15, and 12, right, on a poor shooting performance. But just show me that video again, just of Luka making that 3 to this perceived stare to the Dallas Mavericks bench, because there is a photo that's out there that I'm telling you, he's not staring at the bench. He's staring at Nico Harrison. It feels like this is so personal. It feels like that was a statement. Nico Harrison wearing that electric blue suit, which feels like it represents the Dallas Mavericks front office, right? Like, this is something that's so meaningful to Luka, because in that moment, that felt like a mic drop. It felt like, hey, look, you let go of me. This isn't about Kyrie. This isn't about all my other teammates. This is how I feel about you and the front office. And nobody's moving on from this game like LeBron James says. Like, we're moving into this game. You know how LeBron was talking about don't fit in, fit out? We're moving into more of this game coming up. And April 9th is going to be another testimony to how this game is going to be personal for Luka.
April 9th is when they will go back to Dallas, or the Lakers will go to Dallas, I should say, and we're expecting the fireworks there. I don't mean fisticuffs fireworks. I mean, you know, sort of a lot more of this emotion.
Energized.
And maybe a better night for Luka. I got to be honest with you. I predicted on the show yesterday he would go off offensively, and everyone told me, no, they're not going to let him score. And I get it that the Mavericks didn't let him score. I wanted to see a little I can't put my finger on what it is that I wanted to see that we didn't see last night from Luka. I wanted to see him handle this. I guess there was a little piece of the immaturity. Jay, well, go ahead. You look like you're questioning what I'm saying.
He had a triple-double. Monica, we minimizing the triple-double on 19, 15.
Luka Doncic wakes up with a triple-double. Luka Doncic gets a triple-double in every game that he plays. I wanted to see Luka score 40 last night. Go ahead, Jay.
19, 15, and 12 is one hell of a stat line. I'm just trying to tell you. I know he didn't shoot the ball well.
He wanted to have a good game. He wanted to score 42.
I did.
Greeny, he wanted to score 42. That's why he was so excited coming out. He scored 8 points right out of the gate, and the Mavericks just didn't let him do it. This is a guy who averaged 35 points a game last year. He's the 3rd highest scoring player in the history of the NBA. He had 19 points. He did not have a bad game, but this is not what he wanted.
I think there's a middle ground.
Wendy,
Go, Jay.
Go ahead. Sorry, Monica.
All right, Monica, go.
I think there's a middle ground for all of these sort of things. Yes, I know what you mean, Greeny, and I think practically when you look at it, this is a stat line that any NBA player will be like, oh, bet, that was a good game. I do think there's, Jay, a little bit of room for the conversation around efficiency because of what we're accustomed to seeing from Luka. But I also think that, like, this is just round 1, to Wendy's point. We've got more coming in April, and Luka is still, to me, getting his legs under him, not just with the Lakers, but on the season. He missed a big chunk of the season last year, and he's not typically, like, I don't want to use I don't like the motor thing that has come out of Dallas, but it's not going to be an athletic display. So if he's not having an efficient night, you're going to get a triple-double, and that's still very good, but the numbers are not as gaudy in terms of scoring.
He made a bunch of plays in this game. He was an excellent factor in this game. He also J.J. Redick had to call timeout in the third quarter because he was tired and take him out. In the fourth quarter, there were plays down the stretch where he was literally bent over, not involved in the play, holding his shorts. He's just not there yet. But but give him time. I believe that'll happen.
Wendy, I know he wanted to have 40 points, but I just don't want to minimize the fact that he's attributed to scoring or assisting on 52 of the team's 107
Yes, very
points.
good game.
Yeah.
Like that, I don't want to minimize that. That's all.
I understand that. By anyone else's standards, that's a good game. By Luka Doncic's standards, that isn't a good game against anyone, much less in this game that he had circled.
I think it was fine. Yeah, I'm with Wendy.
Yeah,
it was okay. I hear you, Greeny. I hear you. And Greeny, to your point, if you are on the side of Nico Harrison in Dallas, you're somewhere saying, well, the energy thing, right? If you want to nitpick in that way. But Jay is absolutely right. He absolutely impacted winning, and there's more upside for him to get acclimated in this Lakers organization.
Look, as a person who has been passive-aggressive all of my life, Jay, I have to give it up to Nico Harrison, who was sitting right out there with the loudest suit he could possibly find. He went into his wardrobe. He was like, what can I wear that will make sure everyone notices who I am, where I am, what? And he's just, look at his body language.
Look, Malika look, we're going to talk to Malika later today. Malika is standing right next to him. I was standing about 20 feet down with Luka's agent, Bill Duffy, who's been around the NBA 40 years. Bill is looking at this the same way everybody else is, with a bemused smile going, I've never seen anything like this.
And Wendy, Bill Duffy was my agent, and I've been close to him my entire life. Trust and believe, like Luka had a comment that he didn't see Nico Harrison before the game. Get out of here.
No,
Lose me with
on.
that. He chose not to see him. You know what I mean? He chose not to see him.
I've never met Bill Duffy in my life, so I can't comment on this part of it.
He's a great guy.
I will merely ask you, Monica, to sort of finish up the conversation. Do you think when they go back in April, maybe the Mavericks are going to have a bunch more of their players healthy then? That game could mean a lot for either or both teams. It might not. We never know by the time we get to April. Do you think in that game, Luka will go for 40-something points?
I do. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see how the Mavs fans respond. Is there a world in which they are cheering for Luka to some degree, even though he's in another uniform?
Yes.
I don't want to. Okay, these guys are saying yes, right?
I think so.
So it's going to be very contentious all around. But yeah, he'll be in better shape by then in terms of being more familiar with the Lakers. He'll have his legs under him. All of these things will be improved. Yeah.
Win-man.
You're exactly right, Greeny. He has one suit like this. This is the multi-game road trip. He picked this out. He wanted to be standing out. Luka Doncic yesterday threw a pass where he literally never looked. He threw it behind his head. It was wide open for a three-pointer assist. Don't tell me the man did not see him. He knew exactly where he was, and Nico knew exactly.